Hello and welcome. This is Rahim Zulfikar Ali, and in this video tutorial we will be learning how to create comprehensively a Power BI end-to-end project based on retail sales performance dashboard. So in this comprehensive video you will learn how to create this particular dashboard. I will show you each step in detail and tell you concepts as well. So let's get started. Create this retail sales performance dashboard in Microsoft Power BI. So either if you are very beginner or new to the Power BI, exploring it for the first time, or even if you have previous experience or you are an intermediate user, this video will be very beneficial for you. We will be transforming the raw data and understand all the fundamental concepts of getting this data shaping into the dashboard. Learn and understand first what kind of data we have in this particular use case. So we are going to make an end-to-end project in Power BI, and we will be making retail sales performance dashboard. So this particular video is essential and beneficial for any user from any domain that user wants to explore how to create such kind of dashboards in Power BI. And after learning the concepts and exploring the features of Power BI, you can replicate these good ideas into your particular specialized data sets of your domain. Either it could be HR, supply chain, finance, or any other domain. Okay. Now, first we will understand what we have in the data set. This data set is basically this data is an Excel file. Okay. And in the video description, I have put the download link to get this dataset download, and you can follow the steps along in the video and practice. Okay. So we have 5 different sheets and different tables here. So first we have customers. You can see the number of columns we have in the customers data. The ID, unit, gender, product, category, segment, store, type, issue, promotions, amount, age, and price range. These are fundamental columns we have in the customers data. Then we have a calendar. Then we have the products information in a separate sheet, product names, product IDs, their categories, category ID, segment ID, and then images, URLs. Okay. Then we have one fact table, which is the sales, and we have product ID here, store ID here, the status, either it's sold or returned, then ID numbers, unit, amount, and the date. Okay, these are primary and fundamental required things in the fact table which are necessary. And if we can see, there are almost 29,000 rows of records in this particular sales data. Okay, this is a fact table. Okay. Now, if any user does not know what are fact tables, what are dimension tables, I have discussed this in the video later on part. Okay. Then we have the store table, which we have store ID, store names, their types, and the mapping if we want to make a map visual in Power BI. So we have longitude and latitude details to it. So we have customers, calendar, product, sales, and store. Sales is a fact table, whereas other tables are being worked as a dimension table. We need to create a schema out of it. Definitely, we need to do data modeling. I will tell you what kind of DAX we will be including in particular for making this dashboard. Okay, so this is an end-to-end project. From any domain, watch this video and learn the techniques of creating dashboard in Power BI. The first step in this project is open new Power BI dashboard and import source tables from this particular file, which is .xlsx, into Power BI via Power Query Editor. So let's perform the first step. All right, so this is the very first blank report of Microsoft Power BI desktop version. So let me tell you which particular desktop version I am using while recording this comprehensive tutorial for you. So I will go to the help tab and I will click on about button. That will pop up a window, and I'm using April 2026 version. That's the latest version we have of Power BI desktop. Okay. All right. So now we will be importing the data first, and the data source in our this particular case is the Excel workbook, wherever you have many different kind of common data sources or connectors available. When you click on more, that will open a window, and you can see there are a lot of APIs available, okay, connectors. In our case, we have simplified. So I will click Excel workbook, and this particular dataset file is located in my laptop on the desktop. Okay, you can download this dataset file for your own practice. Just go to the video description and you will find the download link. Okay, all right, so let's click on open, and that will read for a few seconds and pop up a navigator window for us. And we need to select which data we need to bring from Excel. Okay, all right, so now as you can see, we have 5 sheets, so we need to select all in order to bring inside Excel. Sometimes you find table as well, so our preference always to import table rather than the sheet, but in this case we have sheets. There are no table formats or name range formats inside those Excel workbooks, so we will bring all of them: calendar, customer, product, sales, and store. Let's click on load button, and it will take few seconds to load the data process query. And after a few seconds, you will see that the data will be loaded into the Power BI, and we'll start. All right, so our data is here now. You can see, right? Let's do some fundamental first. Let's rename the page into retail sales performance. Okay, and do save this file as well. Okay, now the first step is we go to the Power Query, where we need to check if our data is present correctly, the columns, data type properties, or any other thing we need to build inside Power Query in the ETL tool. So for that, we'll click on Home tab and go to Transform. Click on Transform Data. That will open Power Query Editor window like this, where we have our data here of different types. Okay, the first thing we need to check is the column quality. So on the View tab, you can see I have just check marked the column quality. That shows us 3 things here in this menu: valid, error, and empty. So error should be 0%, valid should be 100%. So we need to see that our data is being cleaned, or in case if there are errors, we need to resolve that particular issue. Okay, so all things are good at this point of time, right? Then we have a column profiling as well. So when you click on it, when you select any column, that shows the column statistics of that particular column which you have just selected. For example, if I select ID here, so it shows me like how many number of entries are there. Errors are 0, unique item, distinct items, okay, max, min, average. If I go to any other table, like for example sales, and when I select let's say product ID, so I have already check marked column profile, and that shows me some of the column statistics of it. Okay, all right, so these are correct now. Later on, if you find you need to do some calculations, adding some columns, or do some data transformation things here, you can again come back to the Power Query at any point of time. Okay, so okay, let's get out of this window. How? Close and apply on the Home tab, and you will back to this particular window. All right, so we have completed the first step. The second step, or the second task, is in Power Query, make a new column. Let me highlight this as well. So in Power Query, make a new column that will identify last month in the calendar and adds a label current, and the month before labeled as prior. Then all other months use the field month. The name of the new field is month select. So for this, we need to add a custom column in Power Query, where we will be using M language code. So let's get started. I will type that code and explain you step by step. All right, so let's go to the Power Query editor, click on Home tab, click on Transform Data, That will open Power Query editor window where we can see all the data. So we'll go to the calendar and then click on add column tab on top. Okay, click on custom column. That will open a window where we will be writing a custom column formula. So first give a new column name. So that will be known as month select. Now after equal, let's put let enter max date is equals to list dot max. Let me type it first and then I will explain as well. Bracket open hashtag. So we'll be calling that this particular step, that is change type. So inverted quotes, changed type. Remember that Power Query is a case sensitive language. Okay, so we'll bring the date here, date column, close the bracket. Now see this first let, what does this mean? So this basically starts the logic block. Then this particular code, what its meaning is that this will find the latest date from the date column. Okay, let's move to next row. Current month. Okay, so current month equals to date dot start of month. Okay, date dot start of month, bracket open, that will be max date, bracket close. So this particular line means it will get the first day of the latest month. Okay, next line, prior month is equals to date dot add months, right, bracket open. So here current month comma -1 bracket close. What does this particular line mean? This means that this will moves 1 month back from the current month. Okay, next line, raw month equals to date dot start of month, bracket open. This should not repeat here. Okay, bracket open, let's call the date column, bracket close. So this particular this line means that for each row it converts the raw date into the first day of that month. Okay, let's press enter key in. Now what does this in means? It's the start of the final output or result section. Okay, now we'll be using if and if else. Okay, so if raw month is equals to current month, then write current, that will be in inverted quotes, else if raw month, okay, is equals to prior month, that is also created, then write prior. Okay, else date to text bracket open, let's call the date column, and we need a format for month spelling in short form, so 3 times n within the inverted commas. Now this particular line means if the row belongs to the latest month, it will write current. Okay, this line means if the row belongs to the previous month, then prior, otherwise return short name of the month. Okay, so this is our entire code. Let's click OK, and that created a custom column, name is month select. Now you can see the month names are coming, and in this particular data the June will be the current month and May is the prior month. But as soon as the data gets append for next couple of months in the next time period, definitely this will change as well. Okay. Now, once we have added the custom column, our requirement number 2 is completed. We will click on close and apply in the home tab. That will again will going back to the front end of Power BI. Okay. So it will take few seconds to apply the changes and all right. So after completing the step 2, now step 3 is set up the data model. So the condition is define the fact tables and dimension tables. So what is difference between a fact table and dimension table? This could be the open response from the user. I will give you the differentiate between them. Then connect all dimension tables to the fact table. We need to create a schema here. And another question is what keys did you use and explain why you selected the relationship you did. So we need to justify what we are doing in the data modeling part. So we need to identify what is fact table, dimension table, how we are creating the relationships, which kind of what are primary foreign keys and why we have selected those relationships. Okay. So let's discuss that and create a schema for it. And then we need to apply some DAX for the calculation. So we need to calculate net sales quantity, returns amount, and transaction count. So let's do it, right? The next part is we go to the model view. Once you click, so all the tables which you bring from Excel file, you see some default relationships being already here. So what we're going to do is we'll delete them. And I will try to teach you how to build relationships and what are different kind of relationships here and how to create a schema. Now, as an intermediate user or advanced user, you know that we do the data modeling part here and we need to create a schema here. Okay. Either it could be a star schema, a snowflake schema, or a galaxy, right? So let's get started. We will put the fact table in the center and we'll surround it with the dimension tables here. So sales table is basically our fact table in this particular use case. All right, so let's put it in the center. Product, customers is here. Let's say here. Calendar table, let's bring here, and then store. Let's change the percentage here so we can see it easily. All right, store. Once we have the only one fact table, okay, and other are dimension tables, and all the dimension tables are connecting with fact table, that could be known as a star schema. If in case if there is no common column available between fact and dimension table and two dimension tables are connecting with each other as a relationship, so that could be a snowflake. And in case when we have more than one fact table and so many dimension tables and whatever the common columns find between the two tables, that could be a galaxy one. So let's see in this case what kind of schema we will be building. But our first priority is to basically connect a fact table with a dimension table always. Okay. So we need to find the common column available between these two tables. Sometimes what we have is more than two business attributes or fields are common. So our priority is to select the IDs rather than the description columns to connect each other. So product table is there and sales table is there. And my first preference would be a common column for product ID. Okay, so product ID from the fact table is connecting with the product table. And once you drag and drop, this new relationship window will open where the product ID is being selected on the both sides from table sales from to table product. And by default, the cardinality is many to one. We are going from fact to dimension. The cross filter direction is single. Okay. Make sure you will be going with the default selection. What does this mean, single or both, or we have different kind of cardinalities? I will explain you later on this part of this video. Okay, but for this point of time, we're going with the default things. Let's click on save button and that will create a relationship of one to many. Okay, now this particular common column, which is the product ID between sales and product table, is help us to create a relationship. And this particular product ID in the sales table will be known as foreign key, whereas in the dimension table, this product ID will be known as primary key. Okay. All right. So now we have successfully made our first relationship between fact and dimension table, identifying the common column. Now let's say between the calendar and sales, again, one dimension table and the second sales is a fact table. Let's find the common thing is the date. So we'll connect date with the date. All right. Let's click on save. All right, so we have again one-to-many relationship, customer to sales. Now customer is a dimension table, sales is a fact table. All right, so between sales and customer table, we have found this ID column here, common available. Now here I will not make one-to-one, I will say one-to-many, and cross filter direction is both. So this particular concept is basically based on context filter and flow in Power BI. Okay, so I will mention that as well. Don't worry. At this point of time, we have identified the common column, which is the ID between customer table and sales table. The cardinality I have changed to one-to-many and cross filter direction to both. Okay, let's click on save button. All right. Now between store, dimension and fact table sales, we found store ID is commonly available. So we'll join that. Again, one-to-many, cross filter direction would be single. Now this data modeling is a very extensive topic. There are so many concepts here, but I want you to know that when you prepare the front side of the dashboard like this, so the business entities or the fields you will pick majorly from the dimension tables, okay, not from the fact table. And the aggregation calculations or columns such as amount, count, okay, or explicit measures you put in them to create visualizations or KPIs on your dashboard. And why I have mentioned this, because there is a concept of context filter and flow that I will be explaining in this video as well. Okay, how to choose the business entities or fields from the dimension table, and if you make mistake, what could happen. All right, now this particular schema will be known as a star schema in this particular video tutorial, because we have one fact table and all the dimension tables are connecting with the fact table known as sales, right? And we have made appropriate and right relationship between the two tables. So this is the schema is completed. Okay, now we'll be moving to report view, where we find the report canvas entirely blank and we start making the dashboard, and we will be completing with this particular dashboard. So now what is fact and dimension table? So definitely when we create a schema, either it's a star schema or snowflake or galaxy, we know that we have two types of tables, fact and dimension, right? So fact are those tables which consist of your business events and observations, whereas dimension tables have descriptive attributes or details to it that supports the fact tables for doing analytics. In this particular project, we have one fact table that is known as sales and 4 dimension tables used for lookup different columns. So we have customer, product, store, and calendar. Okay. So rule of thumb is fact table contains numeric measures and foreign keys as IDs, and dimension tables contain descriptive attributes and primary keys. Sale is the only fact table here, as we know that, right? And it stores one row per transaction with the product ID, store ID, amount, quantity, and date. So these are 5 columns available in the fact table, that is sales. Okay. Further, right, so to build a relationship, we have to go in the model view. So you will find the small icon on the left bar, click on model view, and then we're doing the relationship. So we know that in this case, we have a one fact table that is known as sales, and we will be having the keys like product ID, store ID, and date and ID. And we'll find the similar column in the dimension table, that is product, store, calendar, and customer. The cardinality here will be many to one. Okay. So why these keys and relationship? That was the question, right? So product ID will be connecting with the product ID, joins each sales raw to its product name, category, segment, and price. Many sales can reference the same product, so this is many to one. Then store ID will be link each transaction to its store name. That type would be the internal, external, and geographic coordinates. Date, calendar, from the calendar table enables time intelligence such as monthly trends, week over week, even quarterly and yearly in some cases. The calendar table has one raw per week, sales has many raw per date. That's the difference. Then ID with the customer ID, custom connects each sales to the customer demographics like age, gender, segment, and promotion. So that was the reason why these keys and relationships. So the best practice when we will be creating the relationships and cardinality many to one, they will be going into the single direction. That's the best practice. Keep all relationships as single direction, dimension to fact. This prevents ambiguous filter paths and DEX errors. If you know already about filter context, okay, so you know why we are doing it. Set cross filter direction to single for all four relationships which are connecting between fact and dimension. Okay. In some of the cases, we need to set cross filter direction to both side when we need to go not just downstream but upstream as well. But in this particular use case, we will be using single direction filters for all the dimension tables connecting to the fact. Okay, these are some of the best practices. Right. So as I told you that I also explaining the concept of filter flow and context. So I have created a very simple example. In this particular model, we have three tables. Territory lookup, which consists of 4 columns: sales territory key, region, country, and continent. And then we have the sales data, that is fact table, and then returns table. Okay. And we go to the model view and created a relationship. So territory lookup is a dimension table. Now that has been connected with the returns data table. The common column between them is the territory key, and one to many relationship is there. And this is downstream because the arrow is going downwards and the cross filter direction is single. So I can tell you the cardinality many to one, cross filter direction is single. Okay. Similarly, the sales fact table and territory lookup dimension table, again a relationship or cardinality is one to many. The stream is downwards. Okay, one side, single cross filter direction. So remember that very important, cross filter direction is single. Now what happens when the schema is being created, the user go to the report view, and let's say first we create go to the territory lookup. Let's pick the sales territory key. Okay, and that will show us the territory key numbers here in next few seconds. So this is 1 till 8, 1 till 10. Okay. Now let me do some bit of formatting here so that you can view it easily. Go to more option. Let's go to values and increase the size to 25, let's say. Okay, and now we can see our territory key is 1 till 10, right? Now we need our sales data, and we have the order quantity, so we'll drag and drop here. So we can see order quantity here, and from the returns data table we need the return quantity. Okay, now we can see all the numbers appropriately, very correct. Okay, according to the territory key that is coming from the dimension table concept of downstream, and we can see each territory key, order quantity, and return quantity. Okay, but what happens if I copy this particular visual and paste it? Let's make a duplicate, and this time we are not taking the territory key from the dimension table. For instance, user goes and he finds the territory key in the sales data, that is the fact table. So what he does is he drag and drop the territory key here. Okay, from where? From the dimension table or from the fact table. Okay, so the user instead of from the dimension table, the user drag the territory key from the fact table sales data. Now what's happening? Return quantities keep on repeating 1828, 1828, right? And this is wrong. We know that. Now we can have a comparison here. And this is where most of the users find very difficult to understand their schemas. And in practically in the corporates, the organizations handle the schemas and all the relationships and make a policy and a documentations by itself and guide the users that which kind of business entities or fields should we drag and drop on creating the visualizations or tables on the canvas in Power BI. So that's very critical area. So if a user understands filter flow and context, he knows that for all those business entities and fields needs to either making a slicer or filtering in tables or visuals, you need to drag them from the dimension table, whereas the aggregated columns or explicit measures are coming from fact tables. Now here is the issue. The return quantity is being particularly same. So what happens? So the solution is, let's say if I go between the territory lookup and sales data, if I double click here on this relationship, and if in the cross filter direction, if I make both, so this means it's going up to down and down to up, upstream and downstream. Okay, so cross filter direction is now both. Let's click on save button and let's go to the report view and see what happens there. Okay, let's have a few more seconds to read and load it. So let's click on the report view. Now you can see that this problem has been solved. Okay, and the numbers are coming same right way. So what we did is we did this cross filter direction both side. Okay, now this could be again very much tricky, and if let's suppose if I make another mistake, this time I'm not taking territory key from the sales table but the returns table. So if I add territory key from the returns table, now what's happening here is that continuously this order quantities keep on repeating, the same number is coming. This is wrong, first thing. Now we know the solution, but there is another issue, because in the returns table the all territory keys are not present. Even if you can see after one it's coming 4. So the case of missing values, right? So again, this is highly risk. Even if we can correct this thing, if we can go to the model view and then double click on the existing relationship and make the cross filter direction to both side, that numbers will be okay, because they are now not going in a single direction on the both direction. So now you can see the numbers changed, but again, we don't have the territory key 1 and 2 here, which should be in the first table is there, right? So this is the concept of filter flow and context. You need to be very, very careful in making schemas and how the filter flow will be there on your dashboards while using the fields and business entities on the dashboard. Okay, let's start creating some explicit measures, like we need to calculate net sales quantity, returns, and number of transactions. So we'll be quickly creating these for calculations. So we'll click on new measure, and that will open a formula bar here. We'll write the DAX here. Okay, so the first one, first we give the name, net sales, these are in dollar, equal sign, alt enter. So we're using a DAX called calculate. We're using some X here. Okay, why? Because we need to calculate our net sales raw by raw, because our data is very different from other organization data sets. What we have is, let me show you again. So if I go to my sales data, which is in the Excel file, you can see we don't have a separate returns table. What we have is the status column, where you can see that we have return, raw transactions, and for sales as well, known as sold. Okay, and also we have unit and amount. So we need to calculate in such a way, raw by raw, all for all those IDs, the status is sold, that will be multiplied with unit number and the amounts to get the total net sales. Okay, that's the concept. So let's go to dashboard here and equals to calculate So in the expression, that's the first argument of calculate. We'll be putting sum x for row by row calculation. So first we need to give name of a table, that is sales, comma, then expression. Expression will be from the sales table. I am writing as a fully qualified reference. Okay. So from the sales, we pick unit column, that will be multiplied by sales amount column. Okay, close the bracket, comma. Let's move to the next part. Then also we need to consider sale status column, that should be equals to, let me decrease the size here, equals to sold. Okay, and close the bracket. So our net sales has been calculated now, net sales quantity. So let's click on new measure and let's create explicit measure for that as well. Net sales quantity equals to calculate sum of sales table unit column. Okay, and then sales filter from sales table status column should be equals to sold, bracket close. Let's drag and drop this net sales quantity on the canvas. Okay, let's get rid of this title, we don't need that. 25k is the net sales quantity. The next aggregation we want is returns. For that, again similar step, click on new measure, that will open again formula bar to write the DAX. Let's give a name, returns in dollars equals to, so calculate sum x, again row by row calculations. The name of the table is sales, the expression is from the sales table. Remember, we are using fully qualified references. Unit multiply by sales table amount column, right, comma, then from the sale, the filter will be sales status column should be equals to returned. Make sure the spelling is correct, RETU RED, return within the quotes, bracket close, press the enter key, and let's drag and drop it. Let's see the amount here, 636k. All right, so we don't need the title. Let's uncheck this, resize this. The last one is we'll drag the ID field here, that will tell us the number of transactions. So right click on this field and let's say select the aggregation count. Let's uncheck the title. All right, so now what we have is we have 4 different calculations: net sales in millions, net sales quantity, returns in amount, and the count of ID. So we need to rename this as well, this as transactions. How are we going to do that? Right click here and rename for this visual. Okay, so let's write here transactions. Okay, all right, let's move to the next part. All right, let's add an image. So let's go to the insert, click on image. All right, in the format menu, let's go to style, open the image area or section. Then in the image heading, click on browse, that will go to the folder where you have put the image. Let's click on open that. Now image is there. To add the title, you need a text box. So text box will come either from insert tab or you can also find from home tab. Click on text box, give a nice name, whatever you are creating. So we're creating retail sales performance dashboard. Select the entire text and make it a bit bigger and put it where you want to accordingly. Okay, so let's keep it in on center. Let's drag it here. Okay, now we need to add the slicers for the months. Okay, so now in the calendar table we have the month field. So as soon as I drag this, so now you can see here we have a list of months. Now this is not chronological sorted, Jan to June. Another thing is that if you remember, we have created an other column which shows us current and prior. So we will not be picking this field. What we do is we will have the month select field from here, and that will show us the current and prior. Okay, remember? And the visual we need here not as a table, but we need to have a slicer here. Now what happens, I need to make current always on top and prior to the next and then the other months. But if I use the sort options, for example, descending from here or ascending from here, I mean, that will not work. So how to do that? So what we will be doing here is we will be creating a table here within the Power BI, and for this particular solution there could be many other ways to do it, but one of the very easiest is quickest way is, all right, so let's click on home tab, let's click on enter data. So we'll create a table here. Okay, so first we have the month names. The name of the table you can give like months or any other name you would like to. We need another column for sort numbers, okay, to be sorted. So month names, so we need current to be placed first, then prior, okay, then Jan, Feb, March, April, May, June, July till December, okay, August, September, October, November, December. And let's give the numbers 1 for current, 2 for prior. We need to always see like in this sequence, and then the remaining numbers for other ones. Okay, 13, 14. All right, let's click on load button. That will create a table and it will take a few seconds to apply the changes on the schema. All right, let's go to the model view. We have the months table. All right, now let's create a relationship between these two tables. So we'll connect month names to, let's say, month select. Okay, and the cardinality will be one to many. Cross filter direction will remain a single. Let's click on save button. All right, so now we have a relationship. Let's go to the table view, calendar table. We need to have that sorted numbers for this particular column to be sort, so we are required to add a calculated column. So let's click on new column. We'll write a DAX here, sort name of the column, then the DAX will be the related DAX, and we need to call the sort numbers from the months table. Now you can see the current is being assigned 1 here, and then prior is assigned 2 here. And when we create a slicer of this particular column, so always the current and prior will come on top and then the month names. But remember, one more thing we need to do is we bring that sort column which is being from a different table using the related DAX. Now this column will be used to sort month select column. Okay, so I have selected this column, and on the column tools tab you will find sort by column, and I will select sort. And now this particular column will go as a slicer on report view. Let's go here and we'll use the month select, drag it on the canvas, do necessary formatting changes, and now you can see current is coming first and then prior and then the remaining months, right? We need to change the visual here, so very easy. Let's select the slicer from here. Okay, now you can go to formatting area, more options, and you can change the slicer settings to, let's say, tile. I need to show the select all as well. Let's resize this, and we don't need the heading here, so we need to close the slicer header. That's off. All right, now that's being handled easily, right? All right, so let's start building some visualizations on the canvas. So the first requirement in this task is, the first visual is for the tree map. The type is tree map, that will show the net sales by product hierarchy. Okay, and the requirements is show net sales contribution by product category. So the category include these three things: Office 365, Power Platform, and Xbox. Display sales value inside titles and use a different shades of blue. So let's complete the first requirement. All right, so let's create the first visual. So right click on the canvas, go to this contextual menu, click on add visual, and we are required to add a tree map here. So we'll select from here. Now you can see tree map. So click here. So now it's a tree map. Now let's add some fields here in the category area. So we need to have the segment. Okay, then we need to have the product. All right. The product has been added. And from values, we need the net sales. Okay, now you can see we have the tree map here. Let's go further drill to this. Okay, so now this is by product, this is by segment, and we need to also add the category. Okay, so category will come at top. All right, so it's Office 365, Power Platform, and Xbox. Let's resize this. We also need to add the labels. So go to more option, that will open a format menu on data labels. Okay, so you can see them, and display units in millions. All right, this value decimal places to 1. Okay, and we can format this visual as well. How? Let me show you that as well. Go to colors, and now you can change the colors from here. For the Xbox, we'll give a different color here. Okay. All right, so this was our first visual. We can do a lot of bit. All right, so now we are required to add a field parameter. So for that, we'll go to modeling tab, click on new parameter, and click on fields. All right, so name of the parameter is sales metric. Okay, and you know that we have already two matrices like net sales and net sales quantity. Okay, these are the fields. So add slicer to this page. Let's click on create. All right, so now we have that slicer. Let's change the settings from the slicers menu. We need a tile. Okay, either it will show me net sales or net sales quantity. We can do formatting as well, such as hiding this title. We don't need the header. We can increase the size as well. How? Go to values and then increase the size from here of these buttons. Okay. All right, now what I need is I need to link this particular field parameter to all the visuals, so that when I click, all the visual either show net sales or net sales quantity. So if you know that when I created this particular visual, so I put a field or in the values area, that is net sales. Now I will remove this and I will go to sales metric and I will drag this field here. So what will happen? So see, when I click on net sales, it will show me according to the net sales. When I click on net sales quantity, now it's showing me according to the quantity. Okay, so that's how we will be looking at this particular retail sales performance dashboard on all the visuals which we will be creating shortly, either on net sales filter or net sales quantity filter. Okay, all right, so we have successfully created the first visual, that was for tree map. The next is we are required to create stack bar chart that will show net sales by store and category. Visual type will be horizontal stack bar chart. Requirements: compare store performance by category. Okay, and the display sales labels on bars, enable vertical scrolling for stores. So let's make that. All right, so let's right click on add visual. Now what we are required here in this second is the stack bar chart, right? So this is the stack bar chart, and we are required on y-axis, that is the store. Okay, let's drag and drop. On the x-axis, we are required to have the sales metric which we have created. Okay, let's add that. And in the legend, we are required to have the category. Okay, so that's it. Now the remaining part is we need to do the formatting things like heading. Alright, so if you want to change the uh, canvas settings as well, so you can go to format, canvas settings, and here by default it's 16:9, but you can go custom and you can give any other width and height number to adjust accordingly your dashboard. Okay, all right, so now what we have is we have the slicer here. Okay, we have some KPI numbers. We need to add some more visualizations as well and needs to do a formatting. So formatting will take a time, but meanwhile let's add more visualization. So the third visualization is we need to add a line chart that will show net sales trend by week, and the requirements is show weekly sales trend over time. That will include actual sales line, forecasted area or shaded region, and the trend line. Okay, and on the x-axis we are required to place the date, and y-axis that the net sales or the sales metric we have created. So let's do right click, add visual. This time we are required to have the line chart. Okay, and we need to fill this. So on the y-axis we are required to add the sales metric. Okay, on the x-axis we are required to add the month. Okay, let's have this one, and also this needs to be sort based on month, from sorted from ascending to descending. But now see, this is showing from April till May, as we know that we need to have from Jan to December. So let's go to table view and see if we can resolve the issue. So we select the month column and we'll sort by this particular column. So click on sort by column and month sort will be the base. Now as soon as I go to the report view, see, it has been corrected from Jan to June, right? Now what's happening here is you can see we created a parameter, field parameter here, right? So when I click on net sales quantity, my all visuals are being now showing me the according to the quantity wise. And when I click on net sales, so it's like net sales, right? So let's add more visuals now. All right, so instead of month, now we will drag the date. Okay, date here, and that will go in the x-axis, right? This date. All right, and what else we are required to add here is the forecast line and the trend line. Okay, that's simple. For the forecasting, you can adjust accordingly. The forecast section is here. So we have units in different categories like years, quarter, months, days, forecast length. Okay, seasonality, confidence interval. By default it's 95%, but according to your desire you can go for 90 or 99 as it suits you. Okay, and now we have the trend line as well. We can also on the data labels so it can be shown easily, right? So this was about the line chart. We have added the date, and see, when we added the date instead of month, previously we added the month wise, but we all need to see date wise, and that enables us the further options to add the trend line and forecast line as well. Okay, all right, so the next visual we need to add is the donut chart that will show net sales by price range. Donut chart, okay, so we need the price ranges. Okay, and that will display sales value and price percentage contribution. So let's add this. Simple, right click, add visual, and we are required to add a donut chart. So we'll select from here. So here it is, donut chart. Now what we need in the legend is the price range. Okay, and The other thing is the sales metric which we have created, right? So that will come in the values area. Let's add that sales metric here in the values. All right, so this has been created successfully. Okay, let's put it here. Let's make it a bit bigger and you can do the formatting. Okay, let's go to the next visual. The fifth visualization is again a donut chart, but this time as a gender wise. Okay, so let's add a gender wise donut chart based on sales match. All right, so right click, add visual. Okay, and this is again a donut chart. We'll select from here. And what else we are required is the gender, right? So click here in the legend, we'll select the gender, and in the values we need a sales metric. Okay, that's it. Right now most of the major thing is required is the formatting, the layout, where you want to best fit your visual on this canvas. Okay, what will be the sequence, how you want to show this particular dashboard to the executive. So formatting will take a bit of time for like 20-25 minutes. Okay, and that is easy once you have captured all the required necessary for this particular dashboard, all the matrices and all the different aspects to show the numbers on the dashboard. That's enough, and your remaining time will be in the formatting. The sixth visualization is we need to add column chart that will show net sales by age. Okay, so we compare sales across different age groups, so we need to put the age brackets and the net sales or the sales metric. Okay, let's do it. Right click, add visual. So this time we will have a column chart that is here, clustered column chart, and what we are required here is the ages, different ages, and y-axis is the sales metric. Okay, so now we can see here, and the remaining part will be for formatting. Right now again let me run. If I click on this field parameter on net sales, so you can see all the visuals are changing itself on net sales. When I click on quantity, so it changes on based on quantity, right? That's how it's filtering, and you can see the heading is also being changing here. Notice this, right? All right, so far so good. We have one more, two last visuals needs to be added here. One for the product images we'll create here, and the remaining one visual. Okay, let's do it. So the seventh visual will again also as a column chart that will show the type based on the sales metric. Okay, so let's do it. This will show the compare sales by customer type, external or internal. All right, so let's add this onto the canvas. Right click, add visual. This will be again a clustered column chart, right? And that will show on the x-axis. Okay, here we need the type, and on the y-axis we need a sales metric. All right, so this is there. All right, so far so good. Let's add a image slicer. How to do that? Let's learn that. All right, so let's add an image slicer. How to do that? That will go to the build and we'll use this button slicer. Okay, so click on the button slicer, that will add on the canvas as a blank. And what we are required is the product field from the products table. Let's add this and go to the format menu. Okay, that will open a format menu. Go to image section, make sure this image is on, and here you will add the field, the similar field, that is the product. Okay, so let's add this, and this is okay. So now I will add a bookmark, and that bookmark, what it will do, it will clear all the filters which I apply. For instance, if I click anywhere, for example Xbox, and then if I filter here, and if I forget that which visuals I have filter on, and I want to remove all the filters from this particular page. So at a very quick glance, how I gonna do that? So let's learn that as well. We will be adding a bookmark for that. Okay, let me uncheck this. All right, so let's learn how to add a bookmark. Okay, so for that we'll go to the view tab, and we need to have a bookmark, and make sure that there is no filter at this point of time applied here. Okay, all things are normalized. Okay, no filters. So on the bookmarks menu, I will click on add button. That will add bookmark 1. This is the default name. Double click, and let's rename this as clear all. Okay, and let's add a button to assign this bookmark. So what I will do is I will go to insert, and in the buttons we will click on blank. That will add a blank button here, and go to the format. Okay, and make sure you on the action part, and you want to apply the bookmark on it. Type is the bookmark, and name of the bookmark is clear all, right? And if you want to add the text, so on, click on to turn on the text, and name it as clear all. Okay, all right, that's it. We don't need any fill, or if we want to have a fill, simple color, light color. Okay, that's it. Now what happens if you filter anything, let's suppose from here, and you want to clear the filters? You will just come at this button and press the control key and then left mouse click. So it will clear all the filters. But when you upload this desktop file to the cloud, and when you will be using this interface on the cloud version, so you don't need to press the control key. That will work with the simple left mouse click. But when we are on the desktop, we need to use this button as pressing and holding control plus left mouse key. Okay, so now our remaining 20-25 minutes of time will be consumed in just aligning all these objects, having the proper alignment, proper settings of these KPI numbers and slicers and the backgrounds, right? And the final look after doing the formatting will look like this. All right. So spending 20-25 minutes on the layout and formatting part, this is now our complete retail sales performance dashboard ready, available as per requirement. Now we can add a lot of things to it, a lot of different kind of latest features and functionalities to it. But for this particular comprehensive video, we started from very raw data. Remember, we came to know a lot of concepts in this video. We added visualizations that was required. We added a slicers, we added parameters, we added a bookmark, some numbers. We use explicit measures inside, and we added DAGs, right? We created a schema. We learn this, and we added a column of month select based on Power Query M language code. So this was a comprehensive tutorial for making a retail sales performance dashboard by any user. Now, after learning this thing, you can replicate these kind of concepts of making Power BI dashboards according to your data sets. Either you are working in finance, supply chain, HR, cost center, or revenue center, right? I wish you all the very best. Thank you.